Most people do not really want freedom, because freedom involves responsibility, and most people are frightened of responsibility. Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. We are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love. Out of your vulnerabilities will come your strength. Where does a thought go when it's forgotten? He that has eyes to see and ears to hear may convince himself that no mortal can keep a secret. If his lips are silent, he chatters with his fingertips. Betrayal oozes out of him at every pore. Religious doctrines are all illusions. They do not admit of proof, and no one can be compelled to consider them as true or to believe in them. It is impossible to escape the impression that people commonly use false standards of measurement, that they seek power, success, and wealth for themselves and admire them in others, and that they underestimate what is of true value in life. The madman is a dreamer awake. Immorality, no less than morality, has at all times found support in religion. No, our science is no illusion. But an illusion it would be to suppose that what science cannot give us, we can get elsewhere. Words have a magical power. They can bring either the greatest happiness or deepest despair. They can transfer knowledge from teacher to student. Words enable the orator to sway his audience and dictate its decisions. Words are capable of arousing the strongest emotions and prompting all men's actions. Religion is a system of wishful illusions, together with a disavowal of reality, such as we find nowhere else but in a state of blissful hallucinatory confusion. Religion's 11th commandment is, "Thou shalt not question." The virtuous man contents himself with dreaming that which the wicked man does in actual life. It is that we are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love, never so helplessly unhappy as when we have lost our loved object or its love. Religion is an illusion, and it derives its strength from the fact that it falls in with our instinctual desires. He does not believe that does not live according to his belief. When making a decision of minor importance, I have always found it advantageous to consider all the pros and cons. In vital matters, however, such as the choice of a mate or a profession, the decision should come from the unconscious, from somewhere within ourselves. In the important decisions of personal life, we should be governed, I think, by the deep inner needs of our nature. Neurotics complain of their illness, but they make the most of it. And when it comes to taking it away from them, they will defend it like a lioness her young. Beauty has no obvious use, nor is there any clear cultural necessity for it. Yet civilization could not do without it. My love is something valuable to me which I ought not to throw away without reflection. Men are more moral than they think, and far more immoral than they can imagine. The creative writer does the same as the child at play. He creates a world of fantasy which he takes very seriously. What progress we are making! In the Middle Ages they would have burned me. Now they are content with burning my books. The more the fruits of knowledge become accessible to men, the more widespread is the decline of religious belief. The interpretation of dreams is the royal road to a knowledge of the unconscious activities of the mind. A man should not strive to eliminate his complexes, but to get into accord with them. They are legitimately what directs his conduct in the world. When a love relationship is at its height, there is no room left for any interest in the environment. A pair of lovers are sufficient to themselves. How bold one gets when one is sure of being loved. Neurosis is the inability to tolerate ambiguity. The ego is not master in its own house. Illusions commend themselves to us because they save us pain and allow us to enjoy pleasure instead. We must therefore accept it without complaint when they sometimes collide with a bit of reality against which they are dashed to pieces. Instinctive love toward an object demands a mastery to obtain it. And if a person feels they can control the object or feel threatened by it, they act negatively toward it. It goes without saying that a civilization which leaves so large a number of its participants unsatisfied and drives them into revolt neither has nor deserves the prospect of a lasting existence. It is a predisposition of human nature to consider an unpleasant idea untrue, and then it is easy to find arguments against it. Conservatism, however, is too often a welcome excuse for lazy minds, loath to adapt themselves to fast-changing conditions. The dream is the liberation of the spirit from the pressure of external nature, a detachment of the soul from the fetters of matter. The more perfect a person is on the outside, the more demons they have on the inside. Words and magic were in the beginning one and the same thing, and even today words retain much of their magical power. A religion, even if it calls itself a religion of love, must be hard and unloving to those who do not belong to it. Civilized society is perpetually menaced with disintegration through this primary hostility of men towards one another. It would be very nice if there were a God who created the world and was a benevolent providence, and if there were a moral order in the universe and an afterlife. But it is a very striking fact that all this is exactly as we are bound to wish it to be.